right? So, so before I want to say something, I want to ask you a couple questions. I want either you can write it down, if you have a smartphone or something like that, or you can just put it in your mind or whatever. Because I'm going to come back to these questions after I've talked. So the questions are, ready? Okay, I know you guys are ready. What restaurant do you love? It could be food court. It could be Panda Express, of course. Okay, so think about that. What comes to your mind? What restaurant do you love? Okay, next. What book or general philosophy do you appreciate right now? You're like, oh, I love that book. I remember that book. That book's good. Or I'm reading this book. It's so amazing right now. Or general philosophy. You're like, oh, I'm stoked about this move of something. I keep reading about it. I'm so excited. So think about that. All right. What blogs or news feeds do you enjoy right now? You're like, you're going to Facebook and you're like, oh, that person's got it right. You're like, that person. Okay, what friends are great friends to you? Are you writing this down? I can see no one writing this down. Okay, what great friends? What friends are great friends to you? Who in your immediate family is the unsung hero? Who's the unsung hero? Or who do you appreciate most in your family? All right. What organizations do you receive the most from? Okay, got those answers?
That one's harder.
That was harder. But it's all about I'm really appreciating these things right now. That kind of thing.
I know where you're going. Give me an idea. Give me an example.
Organization, the bridge.
OPP.
OPP. Or organization. Organization could be, I'm really appreciating the company that's paying me money to live my life right now. Something like that. So those sort of. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay, that's it. That's all. So now, picture, if you will, Saturday morning. Saturday morning. There's a guy that wakes up, rolls over, and just feels like, he might have slept in, but it didn't feel good. It's nice to sleep in on Saturday morning, but it didn't feel good, particularly on this day, and because it was Saturday, and his name was Peter. Peter. Saturday, Peter. Hard day for Pete. Peter, he's like, fuck. That's pretty much where he's at. He's like, what just happened? And he's waking up. He's waking up soiled. He's remembering back. Oh, I remember 3 months ago when I was beckoned onto the water, and I stepped on the water, and I hung out on the water, and I walked on water with this guy Jesus that helped me walk on water. And he's going, what's going on? I don't understand. He remembers back. He's like, do I go back to fishing? What do I do? He remembers a kid. It was this kid who had a lunch. Everybody was hungry. There was this kid who had a lunch. and all of a sudden, like, there were 5,000, 4,000.
5,000.
Well, there's 5,000, but then there's also, I don't know, there's a lot of thousands going on, and there was a lot of fish and a lot of loaves, and this guy had lunch, and it all of a sudden fed everybody else, and he's like, what does that mean? Does it even matter? He's like, in this place, did that matter? That all of that happened? Did that matter? And that was his question. Then Mary Magdalene, she wakes up on Saturday morning. She's like, wow. She's like, I remember, what was it? It was Thursday. I remember when I poured out oil on this guy's feet.
I could have not done that.
I wiped his feet with my hair. What was that? Like, you know, it's like, what? She's like, what do I do with that?
It was the best smelling on the cross.
He was the best smelling on the cross. That was true. She remembered that too, that benefit. But she asks, do I go back to hooking? She's like, do I do that? Probably not. But she's like, that was my life. She remembers one moment with this woman who everybody's like giving or whatever, and this woman, she gives these like 2 pennies or something like that, and she's like, and Mary remembers this, and she remembers the discourse that happened on how Jesus highlights this woman for her 2 pennies. She's like, does this even matter? Does it even matter? We have our own Saturday morning, right? We have our own loss here. The bridge is closing. You may remember the best days that you had here. That we did. I remember I got up here. I had a microphone. No, I didn't have a microphone. I did an entire service with a kazoo.
Yes, I remember that too.
I remember that. I remember getting everybody at one point to do a 5-act play of God's redemption. I was excited. I was really excited that happened. But you're like, where do I go? What? You may be asking, what do I do now? What do I do now? I may ask myself the same thing. What do I do now? And I think that I'm getting back to it. You might have contributed in some way. And are asking, in light of that contribution, or in light of the people that are here, or in light of what the community ending, I'm asking, does it even matter? Does it even matter that we did what we did? And it was interesting because one of the biggest feedback elements that came back when we let people know about the bridge closing, people were like, what? I didn't even know this was an option to close. I didn't know it could end. I feel guilty because I love the bridge, and if I knew it would end, maybe I could have contributed more. That was kind of the surprise comeback, the hard thing. And I think probably at some point, like anybody can have that answer, or anybody can have that comment. And that guilt is there. And it's so difficult to hold that. And for me, it's like I want to take it away. I want to take away that peace. And then there's some people who are like, I gave all I could. I gave all I could. And my answer to those people is like, that's why we stuck around. That's why this hung on for so long, is because of you. And I think in midst of all of the idea of grief and the hurt and the Saturday of loss, we ask, is this even, what is it worth? And 4 years ago, my dad, he died. And I noticed that when I face a loss, I sometimes have to protect myself when I have that loss, and I go numb. And this is good for a time, but we can't necessarily stay there. And when I went numb with my dad's death, I asked, does it even matter? Does it? I was like, does it even matter? Everyone dies. That's how it works, And people kind of said that about this, about the bridge too. It's like, this is the season, and then the season comes to a close, and that's okay. And when you generalize it like that, it's like that's, it keeps you numb a little bit. It numbs you. It numbs the pain a little bit. And I want to say that the largest disservice that I did to my dad's memory was while I was grieving, it was to generalize his death. To lump my dad's life into all of humanity's existence. All dads die, I said to myself, trying to numb the impact of his loss. And that is true. That's true. But it's true, all dads do die. But to numb the loss of my dad by eclipsing it into the scope of humanity did a disservice to the very important truth. One very important truth. I only have one dad. Though all dads do die, the one dad that I did have had been living at one point. And after I finished college, and secured an internship downtown, it was that dad that went with me to buy a suit to go work in. It was that dad who would take us out to Chinese food before a play. It was that dad who left work midweek to fly across the country to be at the National Boy Scout Jamboree with me and haggle with the people trading patches.
Yes.
So that to this day, a red coat with crazy colorful patches hangs in my closet. All dads do die, but to not pay tribute to the singular uniqueness that comes from the relevance of the loss means that I lose the impact of the life contribution given. If I numb myself to generalizations, I have numbed myself to the sparkle that life has for me. When things come to an end, we want to protect ourselves. But it is important to know that your contribution has mattered to this community. Your contribution in however minuscule it has mattered. It has mattered in the fabric of who the people are. It has mattered in the life of my life, of everyone's life here. Your contribution matters. And when we generalize and say, oh, I'm one of the masses, I don't matter, I don't impact my community, I don't impact because I'm just one person. The fact is, you are so wrong. You matter. You matter, you matter, you matter in your contribution and what you bring. So my takeaway today, and take away this for the rest of your life, for my sake, is that walk as if your contribution matters. Walk in that light, that you know that as you step, you make footprints, however small. You don't have to be the American Idol to make an impact. And the fact is, you can make an impact, and you do make an impact. But you must contribute. You must contribute in order to make that impact. So I ask these same questions today. What restaurant do you love? Go there. Eat there. Tell the chef that you love their restaurant. What book or general philosophy do you appreciate right now? Send them an email. Write about it. Share it. Buy a copy. Send it to your friend. What blogs, news feeds do you enjoy? Tell them. What friends are great friends to you? Reach out to them. Do something nice for them. Buy them a present. What? Make them a present. Who in your immediate family is the unsung hero? Sing their song. Who do you appreciate most in your family? Tell them. Spend time with them. Love them. What organizations do you receive most from? Walk your footsteps into those organizations and change them and support them and be a part of them. Thank you.
It's not fun wearing a slip in the hot weather, is it, ladies? Maybe you just gave up wearing slips. I don't know.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, when your fabric is see-through, some of us still know what
Let's see what it is, my friend.
Anyway, it's a little food for thought. Maybe wash that from your brain. Can't wash it away. Also, all slips are kind of made in polyester, which doesn't breathe.
Doesn't breathe.
Okay, and now I'll tell you what I want to leave you with. As you can kind of guess from what Jeff said, it's difficult. I mean, it's not just difficult for you, it's difficult for us to then, okay, what is the last thing that I want to say to you? Obviously, that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm not going to pick up when you call, but, you know, what's the last thing? Because I didn't have, this wasn't in the plan, so there wasn't a last thing that I want to say to you, but I did manage to narrow it down, and I will need my notes. So, contrary to popular belief, they don't teach you how to say goodbye to your church in Bible school. And also contrary to popular belief, maybe, Jeff and I did both go to Bible school, but not to become pastors. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway, no, that's that's not a problem because I had to attend so many pastoral classes for my degree, and they never once talked about dismantling your church. They did talk a lot about trying to convince a lot of the male students that they would not make the money they thought they would make. Triple digits don't really exist anymore.
Triple digits.
Triple digits?
Six
Not, okay.
figures.
Okay, yeah. So not the six-figure income. I'll give you double digits in a second. Anyway.
Hey-o.
That was the main topic. I know. Seriously, how many days we spent talking about trying to convince people that you will not make this exorbitant amount of money that supposedly they went to divinity school to make? And I'm there as a pastor already going, hey, you won't make that. Anyway, that's not even what I'm talking about, but I thought it was funny. Anyway. So they don't teach you how to do what we're doing, and come to find out, all the people that I've talked to that are on the other side of this with their communities have a lot of regrets about how they did it. And that is something, I have a lot of regrets for a lot of life unlived already. Growing up in the home that I grew up in, I don't want to have regrets about how I leave you. That's really important to me, that I don't leave you. I'm not going to do it right, because there isn't a method. I will be writing a book, though, after this, that will tell you how to dismantle your church with love and logic. Isn't that what's his name? Dismantle your children with love and logic. No, there is a parenting book called, is it Disciplining with Love and Logic? It's some Christian guy beating kids up with love and logic. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. James Dobson.
It is Dobson, isn't it?
I bet you it is.
I think it is. And don't read that. Or read it to your children. Don't. Unless you're doing it as a comical thing in Jeff's stand-up class. So they don't tell you how to dismantle in the healthiest way possible, and no one knows how to do it. You get up in the morning, and to the best of your ability, you do no harm. And the song that keeps coming through my head is a real gem. It's from a Christmas movie called Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And it's put one foot in front of the other. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Soon you'll be walking out the door. That is the song. And I watch all those movies pre-Christmas, so come to my house for some hot cocoa. Anyway, but that's basically all you can do, is you take a step, somebody says something shitty, and you go, ooh, that stung a bit. I'm going to try not to open my mouth, or I'm going to open my mouth and say, that stung a bit. Also, holding that tension of, I'm not really in a place where I can be nice right now to people that say stuff like that. So think about that for yourself. If you're in pain, you may not have the ability to hold the space for someone else to be nice to them. So just close your mouth.
Oh.
I'm not saying just close your mouth. I'm saying close your mouth so then you don't have to unravel that crap longer than you would like to. And Maya, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have such a potty mouth today. And it's easier to decide. I know your mom has such a bad potty mouth too, so.
Whoa, watch out.
It's filthy. There's soap in the kitchen.
Soap in the kitchen.
Anyway,
Liquid.
okay, so obviously it's easier to decide to do no harm than actually to do no harm. Especially when well-meaning people want to know what you're going to do next. What's your next step, guys? What's your next step? Because you should know it already. Or they want to tell you there is something better coming your way. You know, when God closes a door, He opens a few more windows. Or what I like to say is there's a tiny, tiny keyhole that I maybe could slide through, or a doggy door. Because it really has nothing to do with your behavior, or God, or what's coming next, and I'm going in and out. Anyway, so that was my segue. I'm never doing stand-up, because I'm just going to be talking the whole time and going places nobody wants me to go. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was sort of Jeff and I didn't really plan this, like plan it together. We just were like, what's the nugget we want to leave? And mine is about grief, but it's the other side of grief that he's talking about. So I want to answer the first question that I get, and that I'm sure you have gotten. What am I doing next? Absolutely nothing. I might be crying. I definitely have to get a job. That's exciting. Oh, and by the way, trying to stay in this moment, trying to not drink myself silly, trying to feel my feels. Do you say that? Is that you, Molly? Trying to feel the old feels.
Feeling all the feels.
Because shutting the bridge down wasn't in my plans. I did have a vision. You might not have noticed it. That's okay, because I don't get up here every time I talk and tell you my vision. But my vision was not to shut the doors. My vision is there are places all over the world that are like us, that don't have permission to question, that don't have permission to leave God behind, but still find safety in community. And so my vision was a lot bigger than shutting the door down. Shutting the door down? Whatever. This is something people say to us to feign interest. And it isn't mean, it's just misguided. We don't want to sit in someone else's pain or discomfort, and showing interest seems like the right tact. But for a grieving person, it is a reminder that there is no room for our grief, and that all of its stages in our culture are not accepted. Move it or lose it. And I didn't ask Becky permission, but can I say just as 20 seconds about your grief and your mom? One of the things, Becky lost her mom. It's a year and a half ago, right? Almost 2 years? Last October. Not even a year. And Becky's mom was amazing. And some of us don't get that lucky, but she got lucky. And her mom died. And her job kept asking her, well, when are you going to be done? When is your grief going to be over? When can you show up the way we need you to show up? And that's how our culture deals with grief. That's why we have a bunch of people walking around in pain, because our grief is not acceptable to them. And that's why, like I said a couple of weeks ago when I talked about feeling our feelings and the wailing that other countries do in grief, that is acceptable. But we've made it unacceptable. And I'm saying you don't need my permission, but I'm saying it's absolutely acceptable and it's vital. That doesn't mean you have to scream all over the people that are misguided, because they're not the same people to do that with. But I'm saying, grieve your grief and let it happen. It's the healthiest thing you can do, because, like I always say, 6 months from now, your jelly donut is getting squished on somebody. And it may be somebody you really do not want to squish that pain on, because it's not their fault. So, feel all the feelings of grief that you can feel. Feel it with people that are safe. Feel it with people probably that don't hate God, because they won't understand why you've been in a community already. Feel it with people that have maybe journeyed with you for the last 6 months to a year while we've watched it change, because those people are going to get it. Or people that you've shared with that maybe haven't been here but have held that space with you. Don't share it with the person that you can't talk about church with, you can't talk about how this community changed you, because it's not safe. It doesn't mean they're bad people, it just means they're not the right choice to talk about it with, because they're not going to get it, and that's okay. Somebody will. Like somebody that's in here with you right now. And as for the second one, something better is coming. I think I hate that one maybe more than I hate the what are you going to do next? Because obviously you're going to do something eventually. That is a platitude. You say when someone is grieving and you don't know what to say. It's like the Christian who says, oh, they're in a better place. Oh, fuck you. This was a pretty damn good place. And I love them pretty good. And so that's not a good thing to say. Those are the moments where you just close your mouth. And most of us know that because we talk a lot about that kind of stuff here. It is, again, well-meaning and misguided. Because I don't think, well, there's a part of me that thinks people are just assholes. But the bigger part of me that's trying to come out all the time is realizing that people are not assholes, they're just misguided, and they feel uncomfortable and pain. So, they, again, are not the person that I'm going to turn to and say, this was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Maybe it wasn't one of the best things that ever happened to you. But I spent my entire life in this messed up garbage of a church. And was told I was not okay as a woman. Was told I had no future. There was nothing I could do but raise somebody else's kids and make their babies. And walked around with stuffed down abuse. Because how dare I come out with somebody doing something to me in the church, because there's no protection there. And I came to this place and my body let down for the first time ever. And I was 28 years old. That is a long time to hold yourself in tension. And they let me come out of all of it. Deborah and Ken and Crystal lovingly held that space for me and for so many other people, not just women. Lots of men. Lots of men came out about their abuse or about loving another man or about how they could be safe in a church that can be so vile. So it's been a damn good run for me, and that doesn't work for me. And I'm imagining it's not going to work very well for you. And also, this sounds like it's a put down to children, and it's not. But there are gradients of what you can take in as a child as you develop. It's a developmental thing. And so sometimes you have to say to your kid, it's going to get better. Because you know, because you've been around almost 44 years. Looking pretty good, people. Almost 44 years, you've been around long enough to know eventually it does get better. I don't need some well-meaning asshole to tell me that it's going to get better. That's not their place. I'm not a child. I know eventually it's going to get better, right? It always does. Your car always breaks, your refrigerator always breaks, somebody forgets to put your check in the mail, all in the same week. Right, Jess? It always happens, and eventually it sorts itself out. But I don't need another adult to tell me that it's going to sort itself out. And you don't either. You deserve better than that. If you feel like you can say that to somebody in this room that you've been in a relationship with in a way that is building them up and saying, hey, together, we're going to make something beautiful out of this, that's the way to do that. We're going to make something beautiful, because there is no way this group of ragtag people cannot make something better wherever they go. That's a duh. What I'm saying is important because some of you for some of you, this has been your home. We have been family. We have looked at difficult, scary, painful things together and experienced transformation. We have carried one another's burdens. We have eaten together, marched together, protested together, fed thousands, including ourselves. Some of us have fallen in love here, had children here. lost brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, grandparents, and friends here. Some have come out here. Most of us have wept here. All of us have laughed here. And that is sacred. And when you're grieving the sacred, or anything really, grief has to run its course. No one gets to decide how long that grief will be. No one. And many loving, well-meaning people will try. Most of us have been those well-meaning people. So what do I leave you with? Remember who you are. And this is not me telling you this because I tell my children this every day when they leave for school. It's because if I can tell you one small thing, it's remember who you are. Because I need to remember who I am. Not who you were raised to be, who you've been told to be, or told you are. Not what your culture tells you, the church has told you, mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers, bosses have told you. Not what shitty boyfriends, girlfriends, or exes have told you. Not what the media has told you. Not even what you have told you. Not even what you've told you. Remember who you are. In the core of your being, the you born into this world before this world got its grubby mitts on you. The you that is quick with a laugh, that is a thinker, a questioner, a pot stirrer. Creative and creator. Thoughtful revolutionary, mindful earth shifter. Remember who you are. Remember the you that feels your own feelings and helps hold the feelings of others. Remember the you that embraces who the world would say is unembraceable. Remember the you that doesn't shy away from your own pain. Because really, what is the worst that can happen? Most of us have already seen the worst. Or at least I hope so. Remember the you that is a learner of love, a giver of self, a boundary keeper, an awareness muscle builder, a transformational human in this world. Remember who you are. Do not forget it. And remind the people that you love who they are. Because that's all we have, you guys. I mean, that's all the bridge has ever been, is a place to get down to the core of remembering who we are and reminding each other. Because we are constantly barraged with a different message. And the message is, what did you say, Jeff?
My message is
You are worth it?
Matter.
That your contribution matters, and remember who you are. We love you guys.
You guys want some more music? Majority rules. Go, huh, what? Yeah, oh yeah, it's there. In it. We won't sing, and we'll play unless you sing with us.
There's still coffee over there, you guys, but there's a lot of dirty mugs. So if you would like a clean mug, you can take a dirty one, and there's a soapy sponge in the sink, and you can clean your own mug and have your own coffee. What? I'm saying that there's only so much multitasking I can do. I did think of how I could do it at the same time. It doesn't work. Whatever for that it's all, find your voice, need a soul, I will write it on the palm of my hand. Bye.